Story number 2 of The Frog Prince and Other Stories. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Laurie Ann Walden. The Frog Prince and Other Stories. Author anonymous. Story number 2. Princess Belle Etoile. Once upon a time there were 3 princesses, named Roussette, Brunette, and Blondine, who lived in retirement with their mother, a princess who had lost all her former grandeur. One day an old woman called and asked for a dinner, as this princess was an excellent cook. After the meal was over, the old woman, who was a fairy, promised that their kindness should be rewarded, and immediately disappeared. Shortly after, the king came that way with his brother and the Lord Admiral. They were all so struck with the beauty of the 3 princesses that the king married the youngest, Blondine, his brother married Brunette, and the Lord Admiral married Roussette. The good fairy who had brought all this about also caused the young Queen Blondine to have 3 lovely children, 2 boys and a girl, out of whose hair fell fine jewels. Each had a brilliant star on the forehead, and a rich chain of gold around the neck. At the same time Brunette, her sister, gave birth to a handsome boy. Now the young Queen and Brunette were much attached to each other, but Roussette was jealous of both, and the old Queen, the king's mother, hated them. Brunette died soon after the birth of her son, and the king was absent on a warlike expedition, so Roussette joined the wicked old Queen in forming plans to injure Blondine. They ordered Feintise, the old Queen's waiting woman, to strangle the Queen's 3 children and the son of Princess Brunette, and bury them secretly. But as she was about to execute this wicked order, she was so struck by their beauty, and the appearance of the sparkling stars on their foreheads, that she shrank from the deed. So she had a boat brought round to the beach, and put the 4 babes, with some strings of jewels, into a cradle, which she placed in the boat, and then set it adrift. The boat was soon far out at sea. The waves rose, the rain poured in torrents, and the thunder roared. Feintise could not doubt that the boat would be swamped, and felt relieved by the thought that the poor little innocents would perish, for she would otherwise always be haunted by the fear that something would occur to betray the share she had had in their preservation. But the good fairy protected them, and after floating at sea for 7 days they were picked up by a corsair. He was so struck by their beauty that he altered his course, and took them home to his wife, who had no children. She was transported with joy when he placed them in her hands. They admired together the wonderful stars, the chains of gold that could not be taken off their necks, and their long ringlets. Much greater was the woman's astonishment when she combed them, for at every instant there rolled out of their hair pearls, rubies, diamonds, and emeralds. She told her husband of it, who was not less surprised than herself. "I am very tired," said he, "of a corsair's life, and if the locks of those little children continue to supply us with such treasures, I will give up roaming the seas." The corsair's wife, whose name was Corsine, was enchanted at this, and loved the 4 infants so much the more for it. She named the princess Belle Etoile, her eldest brother Petit Soleil, the second Heureux, and the son of Brunette, Chéri. As they grew older, the corsair applied himself seriously to their education, as he felt convinced there was some great mystery attached to their birth. The corsair and his wife had never told the story of the 4 children, who passed for their own. They were exceedingly united, but Prince Chéri entertained for Princess Belle Etoile a greater affection than the other 2. The moment she expressed a wish for anything, he would attempt even impossibilities to gratify her. One day Belle Etoile overheard the corsair and his wife talking. "When I fell in with them," said the corsair, "I saw nothing that could give me any idea of their birth." "I suspect," said Corsine, "that Chéri is not their brother. He has neither star nor neck-chain." Belle Etoile immediately ran and told this to the 3 princes, who resolved to speak to the corsair and his wife, and ask them to let them set out to discover the secret of their birth. After some remonstrance they gained their consent. A beautiful vessel was prepared, and the young princess and the 3 princes set out. They determined to sail to the very spot where the corsair had found them, and made preparations for a grand sacrifice to the fairies for their protection and guidance. They were about to immolate a turtle-dove, but the Princess saved its life, and let it fly. At this moment a siren issued from the water and said, "Cease your anxiety, let your vessel go where it will, land where it stops." The vessel now sailed more quickly. Suddenly they came in sight of a city so beautiful that they were anxious their vessel should enter the port. Their wishes were accomplished. They landed, and the shore in a moment was crowded with people who had observed the magnificence of their ship. They ran and told the king the news, and as the grand terrace of the palace looked out upon the seashore, he speedily repaired thither. The princes, hearing the people say, "There is the king," looked up, and made a profound obeisance. He looked earnestly at them, and was as much charmed by the princess's beauty as by the handsome mien of the young princes. He ordered his equerry to offer them his protection, and everything that they might require. The king was so interested about these 4 children that he went into the chamber of the queen, his mother, to tell her of the wonderful stars which shone upon their foreheads, and everything that he admired in them. She was thunderstruck at it, and was terribly afraid that Feintise had betrayed her, and sent her secretary to inquire about them. What he told her of their ages confirmed her suspicions. She sent for Feintise, and threatened to kill her. Feintise, half dead with terror, confessed all, but promised if she spared her, that she would still find means to do away with them. The queen was appeased, and indeed old Feintise did all she could for her own sake. Taking a guitar, she went and sat down opposite the princess's window, and sang a song which Belle Étoile thought so pretty that she invited her into her chamber. "My fair child," said Feintise, "heaven has made you very lovely, but you yet want one thing, the dancing water. If I had possessed it, you would not have seen a white hair upon my head, nor a wrinkle on my face. Alas, I knew this secret too late, my charms had already faded." "But where shall I find this dancing water?" asked Belle Étoile. "It is in the luminous forest," said Feintise. "You have 3 brothers. Does not any one of them love you sufficiently to go and fetch some?" "My brothers all love me," said the princess, "but there is one of them who would not refuse me anything." The perfidious old woman retired, delighted at having been so successful. The princes, returning from the chase, found Belle Étoile engrossed by the advice of Feintise. Her anxiety about it was so apparent that Cheri, who thought of nothing but pleasing her, soon found out the cause of it, and in spite of her entreaties, he mounted his white horse, and set out in search of the dancing water. When supper time arrived, and the princess did not see her brother Cheri, she could neither eat nor drink, and desired he might be sought for everywhere, and sent messengers to find him and bring him back.